Content Inc. by Joe Pulizzi. Let me tell you a story you probably think you know. It's about a scrappy kid named David and a towering giant named Goliath. For centuries, we've celebrated this as the ultimate underdog tale. Picture Goliath, a battle-hardened warrior, covered head to toe in armor, standing nearly 7 feet tall. He was the obvious favorite. Then there's David, just a young shepherd with nothing but a leather sling and a handful of stones. On paper, it looks like a mismatch. We've always believed David won through courage, faith, and maybe a little divine intervention. It's an inspiring story. But here's the twist. What if we've been reading it all wrong? What if Goliath actually never stood a chance? Think about this for a moment. That giant was lugging around 100 pounds of armor. He was slow, awkward, and according to some medical experts, his unusual size might have been caused by a condition that severely damaged his vision. He was basically a very large, very slow target. And David? He wasn't just some random farm boy. He was a sharpshooter with a slingshot, a weapon he'd mastered over years of defending his sheep from predators like lions and wolves. He was quick, mobile, and could hit a moving target with deadly precision from 50 feet away. So when David walked onto that battlefield, he had no intention of playing by Goliath's rules. He wasn't going to get close enough for hand-to-hand combat where he'd surely lose. Instead, he completely changed the game. He fought on his own terms, using his own strengths. The battle was decided before the first stone flew, because David was never really the underdog. He just had a smarter strategy. This single insight, having the courage to play a completely different game, is the foundation of the book we're diving into today, Content Inc. by Joe Pulizzi. This isn't your typical business book. It's actually a complete reimagining of how to build success in our modern world. Joe's known as the godfather of content marketing, and in these pages, he reveals a blueprint that's helped ordinary people become millionaires, not by creating some revolutionary product, but by following one simple, powerful principle. By the time we're done, you'll understand this hidden strategy. You'll discover how to build something massive and valuable, something that gives you real freedom, often starting with almost no money. You'll learn David's secret, how to create a wildly successful business, not by launching a product first, but by building a devoted, trusting audience. Most people who dream of starting a business follow the same predictable path. First, you brainstorm a brilliant product or service. Then you write up a business plan, maybe take out a loan, and spend all your time and money trying to find customers and convince them to buy what you've created. It sounds perfectly logical. It's what business schools teach. But here's the problem. For most people, it simply doesn't work. The vast majority of new businesses fail within 5 years, usually not because their product was bad, but because they never found their audience. They were playing Goliath's game, the game of big budgets, expensive marketing, and massive risks. Content Inc. turns that entire approach upside down. The core concept is almost shockingly simple. Build a loyal audience first, then figure out what to sell them. Instead of creating a product and desperately searching for customers, you start by consistently sharing valuable content that entertains, educates, or inspires a very specific group of people. You become their trusted resource, the one voice they rely on for a particular topic. You do this consistently over time until you've built a genuine, human connection with them. Once you have that audience, once you've earned that trust, you possess something more valuable than any product could ever be. You own a real asset. And from that foundation, you can launch practically any product or service you want, because your customers are already there, eagerly waiting to hear what you have to say. This is David's approach. It's not about overpowering the competition with brute force. It's about outsmarting them by playing an entirely different game. The book breaks this journey into 7 clear steps. It's a roadmap, and it begins with finding your unique place in the world. Step 1. The sweet spot. Every successful journey starts with knowing your destination. In the Content Inc. model, this begins with discovering your sweet spot. Picture 2 circles overlapping. The first circle represents your expertise. This isn't necessarily what you're most passionate about, though passion certainly helps. It's about what you genuinely know. Maybe it's a skill like photography or woodworking, or deep knowledge about something specific like vintage motorcycles or the history of a particular music genre. It's an area where you know significantly more than the average person. The second circle represents an audience's desire. This is a problem, a burning question, or a deep interest that a specific group of people shares. They're actively searching for answers, solutions, or guidance. Your sweet spot lives right where those circles intersect. It's that magical space where your unique knowledge perfectly meets a real audience need. Let's look at a real example. A young guy named Matthew Patrick loved two things: performing and video games. He also happened to be incredibly smart, with a degree in neuroscience. After struggling to make it as an actor, he decided to create a YouTube series to boost his resume. He found his sweet spot right at the intersection of his analytical, scientific brain and video game fans' curiosity for deeper understanding. He launched a show called Game Theory, where he used math, physics, and psychology to answer fascinating questions about video games, like whether Mario is actually the villain of his own games. He wasn't just another gaming channel. He was applying his unique expertise to satisfy an audience's hunger for smarter, more analytical content about the games they loved. Today, The Game Theorist has over 13 million subscribers. That's the power of finding your sweet spot. So how do you find yours? Start with a brainstorming session. List all your knowledge areas and special skills. Don't judge or filter them. Just write everything down. Then think about specific groups of people. Who are they? What keeps them up at night? What questions are they asking that nobody's answering particularly well? Your business will be built on addressing that gap. But in today's content-saturated world, just having a sweet spot isn't enough. You need something more. You need to stand out from the overwhelming noise. Step 2. The content tilt. This is, hands down, the most crucial concept in the entire book. Finding your content tilt is what separates being just another voice in the crowd from becoming the only voice that truly matters. Your tilt is what makes you different. It's a unique perspective or fresh angle on your sweet spot that nobody else is covering. It's that area of little to no competition that gives you a real shot at breaking through and becoming the go-to expert in your niche. Consider this. There are literally thousands of cooking blogs and YouTube channels. But when Ann Reardon started her channel, How to Cook That, she didn't just share regular recipes. Her content tilt was creating seemingly impossible desserts. She'd make a cake that looked exactly like a giant Snickers bar, or craft a perfect replica of a famous painting entirely out of chocolate. She tilted away from the crowded space of generic baking recipes and into the wide-open territory of mind-blowing dessert art. That tilt is why she now has nearly 1 billion views. Here's another brilliant example. A roofing company called Action Roofing. Let's be honest, roofing isn't exactly thrilling, but the owner, Jack Martin, discovered an ingenious tilt. He started providing daily weather reports for his local area. They were folksy, personal, and incredibly useful. Before long, he became the trusted weather source for his entire community. People relied on his weather reports, and when they eventually needed a new roof, guess who they called? He wasn't just another roofer anymore. He was the weather guy. That was his tilt. Finding your tilt requires you to look at your sweet spot and ask, what's my twist? What unique perspective can only I bring? You can tilt by focusing on a specific audience. Instead of knitting for everyone, maybe it's knitting for busy dads who want to relax. A specific platform. Perhaps you're the first in your industry to truly master TikTok or launch a daily podcast. A unique format. Instead of standard articles, maybe you create illustrated guides or short animated explainers. A different tone. While everyone else is formal and corporate, maybe your voice is funny and irreverent. Without a tilt, your content becomes forgettable, just another piece of information floating in the endless digital ocean. But with a strong tilt, you become magnetic. You're not just sharing information anymore, you're telling a completely different story. Once you've identified your sweet spot and your tilt, you have your foundation. Now it's time to start building. Step 3. The base. This is where so many aspiring creators crash and burn. They try to be everywhere simultaneously. They launch a blog, start a podcast, open a YouTube channel, and post on 5 different social media platforms all at once. The result? They do a mediocre job on everything and quickly burn out. They become a jack of all trades, master of none. The Content Inc. model demands the opposite approach. It demands laser focus. The third step is building your base. This means choosing one primary content type, writing, audio, or video, and delivering it on one primary platform, a blog, a podcast, or a YouTube channel. That's it. One content type, one platform. The goal is simple: do one thing exceptionally well. Think about the biggest media brands in the world. ESPN started with just one thing: cable television. The Huffington Post began with one thing: an online magazine. Joe Rogan built his empire on one thing: a podcast. They didn't try to conquer everything overnight. They built a fortress on one piece of land first. They mastered a single channel, cultivated a loyal audience there, and only then did they begin expanding. Your mission is to become absolutely the best in the world at delivering your tilted content on that one platform. This requires 2 essential ingredients: quality and consistency. You have to show up on time, every time, without fail. If you commit to a weekly YouTube show, it needs to drop every single week. If you promise a daily email newsletter, it must land in subscribers' inboxes every morning. This consistency builds trust. It transforms casual viewers into devoted fans. They know they can count on you. This is the long, hard, unglamorous part of the journey. It's where you put in the work, week after week, often with very little feedback initially. You're laying the foundation brick by brick. For the first 12 to 18 months, your entire focus should be on building this base and making it the absolute best it can be. And as you build, you need to think carefully about the single most important metric that will drive your entire business. Step 4. Audience building. So you're creating amazing, consistent content on your chosen platform. People are starting to discover you. You're getting views, likes, comments. That's fantastic, but it's not nearly enough. Website traffic by itself is a vanity metric. A view is just a fleeting moment. Your goal isn't simply to grab attention. It's to keep attention. And the only way to do that is to convert those one-time visitors into long-term subscribers. This is where you pivot from renting an audience on social media to owning an audience through direct communication. And in the digital world, the most valuable form of that remains the email address. Why? Because platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok control your relationship with your followers. They can change their algorithm on a whim, and your ability to reach the audience you've worked tirelessly to build can vanish overnight. You don't actually own your Facebook fans or your YouTube subscribers. The platforms do. But when someone gives you their email address, they're giving you permission to contact them directly. You control that relationship. An email list is a digital asset that belongs to you. So every single piece of content you create should have one primary objective: encourage people to subscribe. You do this by offering something valuable in exchange for their email: a free guide, a useful checklist, access to exclusive content, or simply the promise of more great content delivered straight to their inbox. Michael Stelzner, founder of Social Media Examiner, understood this perfectly. He built one of the largest marketing blogs in the world. His rule was ironclad. He refused to sell anything. No ads, no products, nothing, until they had at least 10,000 email subscribers. He knew that the subscriber was the key metric driving the entire model. Your singular focus during this stage is growing that subscriber list. These are your true audience. They're the people who've raised their hands and said, "Yes, I want to hear more from you." Once you've built a substantial, engaged list of subscribers, everything changes. You're no longer just a content creator. You're the owner of a valuable media platform. And now, finally, it's time to talk about making money. Step 5. Revenue. This is where the magic really happens. After months, or even a couple of years of patiently building your audience and earning their trust, you find yourself in an incredibly powerful position. You've been listening to them carefully, you understand their struggles, their questions, their desires. You have a direct line of communication with a group of people who genuinely love what you do. At this point, you'll notice multiple opportunities for generating revenue. The book outlines 10 different approaches, but they generally fall into a few key categories. You could introduce advertising or sponsorships, where other companies pay you for access to your audience. This is exactly how Joe Pulizzi funded his company, the Content Marketing Institute. He sold benefactor packages to a small number of companies who wanted to reach his growing community of marketers. You could create premium content like paid online courses, ebooks, or a private membership community. Brian Clark of Copyblogger, after building a massive blog audience, launched a premium membership program that became a multi-million-dollar business. You could host conferences and events. After building a huge community of aspiring authors online, Alessandra Torre launched a writers' conference called InkersCon, which became a major revenue stream. You could use your platform to sell your own products or services. This is where the model comes full circle. Remember Marcus Sheridan, the pool guy from Virginia? His blog, where he answered every possible customer question about fiberglass pools, became the world's #1 information source on the topic. The audience he built not only saved his installation business, but allowed him to launch a new, multi-million-dollar manufacturing company. The beauty of the Content Inc. model is that you're not guessing what your audience wants to buy. They've been telling you all along through their questions, comments, and engagement. Your job is simply to listen carefully and then create the solution they're asking for. But you don't want to rely on just one income stream. To build a truly resilient business, you need to diversify. Step 6. Diversify. Once you've successfully built your base on one platform and have steady revenue flowing in, it's time to expand your empire. This is the diversification phase. Think of your business like an octopus. Your main platform, your blog, podcast, or YouTube channel, is the body. Now you start growing the arms, reaching out through new channels to connect with your audience in different ways. This is when you can launch that second platform. If you've mastered a blog, now you can start a podcast. If your YouTube channel is thriving, now you can write a book. Each new extension reinforces the others. Your podcast promotes your book. Your book leads people to your email list. Your email list tells people about your annual event. Everything works together to create a powerful ecosystem that keeps your audience engaged and loyal. Look at ESPN's story. For 13 years, it focused on just one thing: being the best cable TV channel for sports. Only after it dominated that platform did it branch into radio, then a website, then a magazine. Today, ESPN has a presence on nearly every channel imaginable. But it all started with mastering one base. This is also when you can start thinking about acquiring other content assets. Instead of building a new platform from scratch, you might buy a smaller blog or YouTube channel in your niche that already has an audience. This allows you to grow much faster. After years of following this model, building a base, growing an audience, generating revenue, and diversifying, you'll reach a crossroads. You'll have built a valuable, profitable media asset, and now you face an important decision. Step 7. Sell or go big. This is the final step in the Content Inc. journey, where you decide what kind of life you want to live. You have two primary paths. The first option is to sell. Your content platform is a genuine, valuable asset, and there are larger companies that will want to acquire it. This was Joe Pulizzi's choice. He and his wife started the Content Marketing Institute in 2007 with almost nothing. By following this exact model, they built it into a media powerhouse. In 2016, they sold the company for nearly $30 million. This path can lead to complete financial freedom, allowing you to pursue other passions, or simply enjoy the rewards of your hard work. The second option is to go big, or, perhaps more accurately, to keep growing. You might decide you love what you're doing and want to keep building your media empire. Matthew Patrick of Game Theory chose this route. Instead of selling his successful YouTube channel, he diversified by launching Film Theory and Food Theory, transforming his one-man show into a rapidly growing media company. There's also a third path, a variation of going big, building a lifestyle business. This is what John Lee Dumas, founder of the hugely popular podcast Entrepreneurs on Fire, decided to do. He earns millions of dollars annually, but he keeps his operation incredibly lean with just a few virtual assistants. He has no interest in building a large corporation. His focus is on maximizing his freedom, health, and happiness. There's no right or wrong answer here. The choice is entirely yours. But the incredible thing is that by following the Content Inc. model, you create these options for yourself. You build a business that serves your life, instead of a life that serves your business. From finding that initial sweet spot to making the final decision to sell or scale, this model is a patient, methodical, and proven path. It's a journey that transforms you from a mere producer of goods into a trusted guide, a creator of value, and the owner of your own destiny. It's David's strategy, and in a world full of Goliaths, it's the smartest game you can play. As we wrap up our journey through Content Inc., I want you to pause for a moment and let the core idea really sink in. It's incredibly simple, yet profoundly powerful, and it goes against almost everything we're taught about business. Build an audience first. Serve them, earn their trust, and the business will naturally follow. What this model really teaches us is the power of patience and generosity in a world obsessed with instant results. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's more like a get-rich-for-sure approach. If you're willing to invest the time and do the work, it's about building a real, sustainable asset over years, not months. The entrepreneurs in this book, the pool guy, the baking queen, the video game analyst, they all succeeded because they showed up consistently, day after day, and gave away their best ideas for free long before they ever asked for $1. They understood that in today's world, trust is the ultimate currency, and you can't buy trust, you have to earn it. You earn it by being genuinely helpful, by being reliable, and by truly caring about the people you're trying to serve. This is a fundamentally more human and, I believe, more fulfilling way to build a business. Instead of shouting at people with advertisements, you're sharing valuable insights with a community you've built. Instead of chasing customers, you're attracting a loyal following. You're not just building a company, you're building a legacy of value. So how can you start applying this today, right now? I want you to think about 3 simple actions. First, tonight, take a few minutes to think about your sweet spot. What's that unique intersection of something you know well and something a specific group of people desperately wants to understand better? Don't worry about how you'll monetize it yet. Just identify that magical place where your knowledge can serve a real need. Second, tomorrow, spend some time exploring that space. Look at what others are doing. Then ask yourself the most important question. What's my tilt? What's the unique angle, the different story that only I can tell? Your success depends on finding that small but powerful point of differentiation. And finally, commit to building your base. Just start. Pick one platform, one content type, and commit to creating and sharing something consistently for the next 30 days. It doesn't have to be perfect. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is simply to begin, to start laying the foundation, brick by brick. The journey outlined in Content Inc. isn't easy, but it is straightforward. It offers a path to creating not just financial freedom, but creative freedom. The freedom to build a business around something you genuinely care about, serving an audience that truly values what you offer. It's the chance to stop playing by everyone else's rules and, like David, win by playing a smarter game. That was a deep dive into Content Inc. by Joe Pulizzi. We've covered the core framework today, the big ideas that make this model so powerful. But I'll be honest, a summary, no matter how detailed, can only show you the map. The real adventure happens when you decide to take the journey yourself. The true magic lives in the details of the stories, the subtle mindset shifts, and the practical step-by-step guidance you can only get from reading the book. This summary is your starting point, a way to see if this path resonates with you. If anything we've talked about has sparked something in you, if it feels like a more authentic way to build something of your own, then I'd encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning a new business model. It's about discovering a new way to think about value, trust, and your own potential. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary helpful and it gave you a new perspective, do me a small favor and hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe. We explore life-changing books like this regularly, and by subscribing, you won't miss the next big idea that could change everything for you. Let's keep learning and growing together.